So it is my pleasure to invite to the BIMA Stephanie Schwartz, who will share, you can come on up, who will share more of her story here with us. But we're so honored that you agreed to come to speak to us today. Stephanie is the Senior Vice President for Atlantic Health Systems and has served as President of Overlook Medical Center since 2021. And Stephanie is the current President of CUMAC and serves on the Board of Directors for Food Connect. And we're so glad to learn with you this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a real honor to be here. What an incredible, thank you, Rabbi. What an incredible way to invite me to talk to you about something that's very important to me, which is food security. I will share with you in a minute how I actually got to this point with my friend Alan. But I want to take you back about 10 years ago when I found myself without a job. I was working for a healthcare system in New Jersey, and through some craziness, I was unemployed. So as I had to evaluate my value set and why that happened and how it happened, I had a lot of free time that I had never had in my life. I spent that time looking for a job, obviously. I had a family to support. I spent that time with my 2 boys. And then I did what I was raised to do by my parents, and that was to give back, to volunteer. So I called the local food bank in South Jersey, and I said, how can I help? I grew up in a home where there was always food. I remember boxes of cereal, Frosted Flakes, steak and potatoes, chicken. There was never anything that we didn't have. So I thought, that's a space where I need to be. I need to be where there is a lack of food security. So I called the food bank and they said, sure, right down the street from you, we're bringing a truck into a community and we need some volunteers to help unload that truck. Sounded simple enough. Drove down. It wasn't but 2 miles from where I lived in South Jersey, which is right off of Long Beach Island. So you know the community of Manahawkin, mixed community of employed and relatively poor individuals down in the southern part. The truck pulls up. The families that were there to receive food received a bag of food, of shelf-stable food. And we were asked to take some food off of the truck and put it on a card table. And in that truck was some fresh vegetables, some milk, some egg cartons, and some fruit. And one of the fruits was the clear container of raspberries. So we straightened them out. And after the individuals picked up their bag of shelf-stable food, they were able to come to the table and choose like 1 or 2 items. So I distinctly remember a family coming up and selecting the raspberries in the clear plastic container that we all buy in Wegmans and that we take for granted, and how happy they were, the joy that they had in getting those raspberries. And I remember coming home and talking to, wasn't my husband at the time, but Robert, and saying, I saw joy in somebody's face when they were able to select raspberries. Something that I've taken for granted my whole life, that there were strawberries and grapes and raspberries in the refrigerator. So let's just pin that. I got a job. That was wonderful. I came up to work for Atlantic Health System at Chilton Medical Center. And when I showed up to my new job, I met Alan Lieber. Alan was taking care of Chilton Medical Center in the interim while he also did his role as CEO at Overlook. Alan then invited Robert and I to come to the synagogue for services, and we spent a night here. It looked different, it looks absolutely beautiful now. And on the way out the door, I picked up a card that I guess the social justice group had stuck into a holder, and on that card was CUMAC, and Food Security Organization. So I called them 10 years ago and said, how can I help? What can I do? It's been 10 years. I've done a lot of volunteer work there. I'm now president of the board, and I continue to do this soul work. I call it a soul work. I continue to give back because I believe that food security is essential in this country. This is the richest country, and there are people that live next to us that are working and they're hungry. There are children that go to school on empty bellies, and there are seniors that can't provide food. And I believe that we need to give to the rest of the world, but there's food hunger still in this country. And as the rabbi was just talking about, people who don't give food to people and people who do give food to people, we just went through a 3-week period in this country where people were threatened to have their SNAP benefits taken away. The impact that that had at CUMAC was significant. The threat caused people who were food insecure to go into utter panic. SNAP benefits get dropped onto like a little credit card. Families apply for SNAP benefits. They get loaded up hundreds of dollars a month. They can go to the grocery store like all of us. They select their food items and they give their SNAP card. The threat that that money was going to go away sent people into complete panic. So it loaded up the food banks with people seeking food. We know that the SNAP benefit withdrawal only lasted 4 days, but there were 4 days where people did not get the deposits that they typically would receive. During that time, CUMAC put together emergency food boxes, about 800 of them, and distributed them. So let me share with you a little bit about CUMAC and what it is as a food security organization. CUMAC is an organization in Paterson, New Jersey, which I learned tonight is where the synagogue started, so a very beautiful connection. It sits on Ellis Street. It's in a building that we finally own. It's a challenging building. We only can occupy part of it because we don't have access by elevator to the other parts. So in our food bank, when I started 10 years ago, we gave out boxes. Now what we have is what we call a choice marketplace. People are able to come to CUMAC who need food. They're able to take a shopping cart like we get at our grocery stores, and they're able to walk through the market and pick out what they want. They can pick out food that meets their religious needs. They can pick out food that makes them excited, pick out food that they can cook their favorite meals with. They get to choose. They do that about twice a month by an appointment. And the food, the choice market is set up with freezers, just like we see in our grocery stores, aisles of fresh food, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, shelf-stable food, sauces, and cans of food. So what we've done is we've created a trauma-informed approach that says we care about how you get your food. We're not going to choose for you, because why would we choose for you? You're a person with capacity, with humanity. We want you to have the options to select the food that you want, just as if you had money to do that. So at CUMAC, the individuals that come, and we serve, we do about 200 appointments a day. So 200 people Monday through Friday are coming in to do this shopping. The people we serve not only get food at our food bank, but they probably have SNAP benefits, and they may be visiting 1 or 2 other food banks. I always say no one shows up at a food bank if they don't have to. It's not easy. So for the 10-month period, January through October, we served about 62,000 individuals. Because of what happened with SNAP, our numbers snapped forward, so to speak, and we will be serving by the end of the year 82,000 people. That is 5% more than we did last year. In this country, an increase in people who are food insecure is just outrageous to me. It's not what should be happening. And again, people don't go to food banks unless they have to, so those are very real numbers. At CUMAC, for that 10-month period, we rescued, received through donations, or purchased 2.7 million pounds of food. These numbers are significant. Let me take apart that 2.7 million pounds of food. 10% came from individuals donating food to us. 12% we purchased with money that we either received through donations or came in through grants that we've received through writing grants, receiving money from different sources through the state. 18% came from the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. The Community Food Bank of New Jersey receives federal funding. They then give it out to smaller food banks like CUMAC. and 60% of it was rescued. So a large part of what CUMAC does is we send trucks out to rescue food from Trader Joe's, Wegmans, the fisheries, the farms that can't get rid of their food. We then bring that food back to CUMAC, and we need to sort through it, because with our trauma-informed approach, we're only going to put the tomatoes out that look as beautiful as the tomatoes do at Wegmans. So that's a lot of sorting, if you can imagine. Our trucks are driven by individuals that work at CUMAC. We employ about 35 individuals, and we're a second chance employer. We give people the opportunity to work, a fair wage, and benefits for themselves and their families. These are individuals, many of them who have been incarcerated or have the kinds of backgrounds that they can't get jobs at Walmart or in a retail store or in a hospital, because we do background checks. We give them the opportunity to work so that when they then want to apply someplace else, they have a work history that's clean. So we give second chances within the organization that supports the food bank. So besides giving out food, we also have wrapped our services with navigators to fill out SNAP applications. I will challenge any of us to try and fill out a SNAP application or a Medicaid application. It's not easy. It's built to be rejected, and our navigators sit down with families and help them to put those applications together so that they can come to CUMAC twice a month and get the rest of the money that they are able to have based on their income status through SNAP or through Medicaid. We have a collaboratory where we do education around how to cook a particular vegetable, or how to make soup from a chicken carcass, the things that maybe some of us have learned at home from our grandparents that aren't necessarily what everybody knows how to do. So we've wrapped services around the individuals that come to CUMAC to make it possible for them to feel good about themselves as they get themselves back up on their feet in our community. So I was asked to talk about how you all can help, and Alan has helped, because during the SNAP events that were happening over the last 3 weeks, he called me and said, so what can the synagogue do? What can the congregation do? And it's those kinds of reaches, as well as like Sarah does with supporting the organizations, that allows us to continue to move forward. Because this is hard work, it's labor-intensive work, and it just repeats itself every single day when 82,000 people are seeking food. So the things that you can do, first of all, cash donations are extremely important. For every $100 that we receive in a cash donation, we're able to buy through our bulk purchasing $650 worth of food. So we're able to translate cash and make it larger, and then buy food. And buying food to us means buying things like chicken, eggs, milk. Nobody can drop off a chicken. I mean, you can, but So we buy a lot of chicken because we want our families to have protein-rich food in their homes. Imagine we all probably go into your freezer and pick out a chicken breast or a chicken, or we go to the store and buy roasted chicken. Our families don't have that luxury. So by giving them chicken, by buying the things that are expensive and then giving them back, we do something for that family. We buy eggs. Right before SNAP, the organization had to make a choice. We spend about $35,000 a month on food, $25,000 to $35,000. We had to make a choice to either buy milk for our clients or eggs. We didn't have enough money to do both. And so one of the things Alan and I talked about is maybe the congregation could raise funds to buy eggs. We're not expecting you to buy the eggs and bring them to CUMAC, but how could we kind of get ourselves around something that's really hard for us to get? Of course, there's volunteering opportunities. When you're gleaning food and you have to sort through a lot of tomatoes or cans of food or bags from Trader Joe's to make sure that they're not expired, it takes a lot of labor. So we run 3 shifts of volunteers, Monday through Friday, and there's always opportunities to volunteer. And there's no strict connection. We have a portal. You can do it once a month. You can do it once a year. You can do it every week. So volunteering is certainly an opportunity. And then food drives. We love love for organizations to have food drives, but we ask that they're very targeted. Because when a food bank is collecting food, we're not looking for what's coming out of people's cabinets, although sometimes we take that stuff and we put it on a little shelf. We're looking at the things that we need: peanut butter, tuna fish, spaghetti sauce. So when you do a food drive, we'll give you a list of the things that we don't have or the things that people are asking for. Certainly during this time of year, there's certain things that people ask for. During the summertime, when kids are out of school, we have different needs. So we'd like to do targeted drives. So those are ways that you can participate. I think recently you got our QR code. That was an Amazon list that attached, either you could donate straight to CUMAC or you could use the Amazon code, which came up with a list. The funny thing that happened with Amazon is that so many people are comfortable doing Amazon, and we got so much food, we're now doing like unpacking. Like imagine in your house when you get those 3 boxes of Amazon, we got like 3,000 boxes from Amazon and had to unpack them. So it's good, it's great, we'll never say no, but a different approach for a large group might be better than just ordering from Amazon. But again, we will never say no to any kind of donation. What you do to give to people who are hungry is beautiful. I hope that I've been able to convey to you the magnitude of the crisis. Our executive director sent out a note today, and she said, "The destabilizing nature of food insecurity." That's the place that she lives. She said the crisis is over for SNAP right now, but she knows that we live in the destabilizing nature of food insecurity. It doesn't go away. So today it went away when we put the SNAP benefits back for those folks, but we're still serving 82,000 people. So this is an issue, this is a community issue, this is a country issue that that we need to fix. So today, SNAP is fixed. We'll see what happens. I don't know that I have faith that it won't get put back up on the table, because it was certainly brought a lot of attention for some folks that needed attention, but it caused a lot of people stress. And so I ask that you share these thoughts and think about how you can help. And certainly I thank you for even just listening to this and thinking about what you can do in your neighborhood if it's not at CUMAC. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And Stephanie is going to hang out at the ONEG for a little while after services if you have questions or you want to say thank you, any of those things. And I will, out in our lobby and also at the ONEG, there are table, you know what I'm talking about, in the clear frames, whatever that word is. What? Yeah, they're with the QR code, and it's been in our emails, and we'll continue to communicate about how we're going to continue to organize around this. And I will also say that this is an issue that we think of impacting only people outside of our community, and within our community also, we know there are people who also struggle with food insecurity. And as is always the case, but I'll make explicit now, if you need help with food or with anything like that, in any of the things that this touches, you can always come talk to me, and the synagogue wants to help, right? And we will help. So we know that can be a hard conversation to have, but I promise to keep our conversation confidential and to help with whatever you need. So, and if you know people who are within our community who are struggling, you can also please point them in my direction so we can show up for each other as well.